Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Our Hometown News vodcast, where we discuss industry news, events, and tech tips for local news publishers. Today, we'll be discussing a quick recap on the month of August and our focus on serving the growing mobile audience. We had a number of interviews with publishers, and we had a big webinar yesterday with editor and publisher we'll talk about. Also announcing the topic for September that we'll be spending a lot of time talking to publishers about and sending you emails about this. It's a turnkey revenue generating feature that has been in beta testing for months, and we are finally ready to announce it. And then I wanted to talk with the whole group a little bit about some news from Apple, some of the changes in the subscription model that they're offering to publishers, small publishers. So we'll get to that story that summarizes yesterday's event. And this is a new feature, by the way, we have on all the blog posts. You can just request a demo on any of these topics, and this will just send an email to ops. Just makes it really easy if you have questions or comments on any of these announcements. But basically, this is an hour-long interview we had with Tom Lapis of Henrico, Cody Mills of Cattle Business Weekly, also Courtney, and Jared from Western Ag Reporter. So it was a great interview. We had already talked to them one-on-one throughout the month, but we kind of sat down and shared ideas on how they're using the apps, what kind of engagement they're seeing there, why they think their audience is embracing the mobile format more, and also a lot of discussion on the audio playlists. So it's a great interview. We're going to have the full playlist kind of highlight reel ready in the next newsletter. Again, we're kind of wrapping up the discussion on mobile. I mean, we're always going to be talking about this stuff, but the focus next month is going to be this new Our Hometown ad network. That's the announcement today. We're recruiting publishers. We have been running a beta test. This is kind of the end of the beta test. We're going to be opening it up to anyone. But Vera, you've been doing a great job reaching out to publishers, and you've really been spearheading this project. So, we'll want to talk to you and Tyler about how this ends up looking on the site. We're going to look at an example shortly at Wilson County News. But overall, what has been the response on this? I mean, we're going out there, we're giving everyone an ad revenue projection based on their current traffic. How is the actual revenue stacking up to those projections so far?
Well, so far they've been exceeding it in certain cases.
Right. It's actually higher than the high end in some months we've seen.
Yes.
Yeah.
It
there's
depends
variation.
on their articles and traffic.
Right. Yeah. So the traffic affects it because it is a per visitor revenue model, or per visit rather. But then there's also a changing EPMV, which is estimated revenue per 1,000 visits. That is the other variable that sometimes changes. And that has been higher in some markets than we expected. So, there's tons of variation here. There's the third factor is how much you're optimized on the site. So you can run any number of ads, as few or as many as you want. And I think the maximum, is there really a maximum number, or what is the fully optimized number of placements, Vera? I think it's like 5 or 7.
Oh, on the homepage, yes, but you can actually have, I think, like up to 30 in content and
right.
Like your event calendars and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's just you get what you pay for, or you earn what you put in, really, or what you make available. If you make more space available, a lot of these video ads are paying very well. And the exciting thing about our ad network that's different from just AdSense is that it's a conglomerate of ad networks, of these sub networks, including AdSense, but also some premium ad networks that we pay to have access to, those advertisers. So they're all bidding for every spot that you make available on the site. And that's why we are seeing higher revenue than Google AdSense, even though this is a revenue share model. It's a 10% revenue share goes to Our Hometown, 90% goes to you as a publisher. That 90% we're still seeing exceed AdSense and many of our projections. So there's no cost for this, no cost to set it up, no monthly cost to use it. It's just pure profit, assuming you get the traffic. In the last few minutes, and this is just kind of an open discussion. Just share your thoughts, your opinions. This is from the Neiman Lab. I got this in a newsletter. This is big news for Apple News. So this is something that we're going to be focusing on in the next couple months. We're going to have a whole month dedicated to it in the fall, but talking about getting you on news services, Apple News, Google News, that's going to be part of our standard setup process, but it hasn't always been, unfortunately. So we are going to be reaching out to current customers and getting you all set up with this as part of like a subscription drive, a website growth drive. And this is just taking advantage of all the news services, which is kind of a no-brainer. On top of that, once you're in Apple News, you can collect subscription revenue. Our apps aren't set up to do this right now, though. We have not ever had a customer ask us actually to do this, because they used to charge 30% of the subscription revenue. Apple would take that cut. But they recently dropped it to 15%. And what we're wondering is, has that shifted the balance for publishers, in their minds? We're wondering exactly what this article does. Will that change any small, community newspaper publisher minds? Because they would qualify. I think there's 3 classes. The standard deal, the way it used to be, is Apple would take 30% for the first year. But now they have this offer, which is kind of new, which is anyone making less than $1 million a year in the App Store only pays Apple 15%. So it's just a flat rate from the beginning. And then there's this other one that really applies to larger publishers that are selling $1 million or more through the App Store, and they can get 15% revenue share if they maintain a robust Apple News channel, which I guess means they got to give it away to the people that are subscribing to Apple News, which is a paid service. So it's getting complicated for the larger publishers. I mean, it's always been complicated working out aggregation and syndication deals with these big tech companies, but this is the one that applies to us. Let's just take a poll of our panelists. I mean, I, for one, I purchased a subscription to Medium because it was just so easy. I remember very clearly, that's a cool website, and I was getting engaged, but I was constantly hitting the meter. And I ended up subscribing just through the app for about a year, because it was just one-click thing. I never would have done that through the website. I mean, I just know myself. I don't think I would have taken out my credit card to do that, but it was so easy through this process. Do you guys have any experience with that, like in-app purchases? Not talking about like games. I mean, everyone has been tempted by those in-app purchases, but has anyone like purchased a subscription to a newspaper or a news or like some type of content creator through an app?
I have.
Yeah.
I did a magazine through Google.
Okay, interesting. So that was an Android app, and you purchased just an app subscription, or was it a subscription to the website as well? Did you get both?
It was just a digital magazine through Google News.
Digital, okay, through Google News. So you only access it through Google News. You didn't like set up a login to the desktop site.
Right. The way that it worked when I did it is it's linked to my Google Play account, and it has like Google Books,
Right.
and that's where I would read the magazine, and I would
Right.
only have access to however long my subscription was. So if I had 4 months of subscription, I would have 4 magazines that I could read.
Yeah, so you basically did the Android equivalent of Apple News, which is what I was saying earlier. Like, they aggregate tons of publishers, and they have a flat subscription model where you pay Apple, and then I guess they're distributing it, who knows how, to all the people that are in the app. I don't know if that's exactly what you did. Maybe you did just pay the provider directly, like in this case. Terry or Tyler, have you guys ever used Apple's in-app purchases?
I manage a lot of my subscriptions all through my Apple account, just because I
Interesting.
like having the billing all in one place.
So that's another, yeah, that's a good point. It's just going to all be in your iTunes bill.
Exactly. And like a lot of my streaming services go through there, so I can just filter them all through one app on my Apple TV.
That's the next generation talking. Tyler's the youngest one here. So that's a really good point. I mean, the streaming services. So you have Netflix through Apple?
Netflix does not directly integrate with Apple. I think that's one of the few that,
That's right. That's right. I
yeah,
remember that news story. They were kind of a holdout.
right. But like I'm subscribed to CBS All Access and Showtime, well,
Right.
Paramount Plus. Those are all just going through my one Apple app, but I still have individual subscriptions. They're just all filtered through one place.
It's not like those are publishing to Apple News and you have an Apple News subscription, so you get a little bit of everything. You actually subscribe to each one. Yeah, so all those, video streamers are presumably paying this, cut to Apple too.
Well, is there a way?
Huge.
I'm asking because I think I've got the freshest eyes here because I don't use apps at all. I'm just following what you guys are saying and trying to wrap my mind around it. If a newspaper was in the app store, like we have, and you had all that, the streaming type stuff, could you actually stream and view your newspaper on your TV?
Yes, I think so too. I think we just need to get the apps into those stores. I don't think they're automatically in there like a Roku store.
So,
You know?
so some little old man on a Sunday night with nothing
Yeah.
to do and wants to catch up on his local newspaper, and he's already got the TV on, he could just flip a switch and log into his Apple whatever and view
Yeah.
the digital edition or something, or just the website.
I don't know how exactly that would work. It's just right out of the box. Like if we just submitted our apps, could you scroll through the articles or how would you navigate it? I think audio articles is a natural fit for that, though. Like
Yeah.
that's how we would want to do it, I would think.
That brings up a good point. I don't know if you're aware of it, but I have a Roku and you can actually add the podcast app through the App Store and your audio articles are on there.
Really?
Instead
Yes.
of, turning on like,
So we already do this.
yeah,
You're
so
saying.
instead of turning on like, your cable music channel, you could turn on your paper's audio.
Well, no, absolutely. I mean, I just use my TV to stream Spotify because it's louder than any speaker I have in that room. It just makes sense. I can listen to it in the kitchen from the TV. The news is Roku. This is a question for James. Is that part of Google Play or something? Because we're in Google Play, we're on Roku automatically. They don't have their own store.
Well, I don't know if this helps, but I have a Roku, and the way that we do it is I go through the different apps, and I'm trying to think of the name of the app. Oh my goodness, it's through a podcast app.
Okay.
And you can listen to it through there. But it's really neat to be able to listen to it through your TV. So when I'm cooking dinner, I can just listen to the different news in my podcast.
Oh my God, Vera, that's awesome.
That's
We need,
so cool.
yeah, I need to test this out myself. I mean, it's not a Roku, but it's like a smart TV. I guess I'll try searching. It's strange to me because I feel like that we would have had to do something extra to get in there. But I mean, you're telling me it's there. That's awesome. The weird thing is,
Yeah, it just lists it because it's on the podcast. So it just picks it up.
Yeah, it's just pulling the podcast RSS feed at that rate.
So you're talking about like Wilson County News has Buzzsprout. So you need to have the Buzzsprout podcast. Then it goes to Apple, and that's the app you're downloading. I thought you were saying you downloaded like the Signals AZ app through
Oh,
your.
no, it's a podcast app.
Got it. You
on
said that, but I didn't understand. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So then that's definitely, I know what you're talking. I can test that, maybe get a video of how that works. Can't really demonstrate it any other way. I'll just film a live video in my living room. We can share it on like the next office hours. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna test that
In the
right.
meantime, I'm looking on my phone, and as soon as I find the app that is on my Roku, go ahead and I'll put it in the chat or in Slack.
Yeah, that would be helpful. I'm assuming, I don't think it's going to be the Apple podcast app because I have no idea. I'll check it out. Terry, I guess you don't have, you say you don't use apps?
Not at all. No.
Okay.
I'm
You
one
just
of
have the
those-
basic phone.
I have a
phone call?
phone that I can get pictures on, take pictures on, send text messages, and make phone
Nice.
calls. It's too
Nice.
complicated for me. I don't have time for that.
I like it. No, that's cool. I wish I could get back to that.
Yeah.
I feel like I need these apps. I use them so infrequently, but I've got everything on there in folders and such. So yeah, this is the interface we're talking about. Double click to subscribe. That's awesome. So you just buy it in one click. You get them. That's the news coming from Neiman Lab. And as a side note, what I'm trying to do with these things, if we can like create content, create a video or a mini podcast episode where we talk about Joshua Benton's article. I happen to know this guy sort of. I met him one time years ago at an event on the Harvard campus where they have Neiman Lab. I went up there and like filmed it and everything. I was trying to do the content marketing thing then too. He's like, the editor-in-chief of Neiman Lab. I wonder if we can get interviews with people like that for our publisher industry interviews. I don't know exactly what we would talk to him about. I mean, we could talk to him about this article, I guess. Then maybe they would kind of put our videos, plug us a little bit in their publication. We don't really have any connection to this group now, but I want to do more like what we've done with editor and publisher, basically.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool if we could just, kind of like the big news networks now, everything is analyzed and cut up. You could just pick an article and say, our publishers are interested in this. Let's pick this apart, expand on this paragraph. Tell us what you mean about this.
Yeah, I definitely want to get to that point. I think we got to walk before we run, so Tyler has been, he's now logged into the site and, now he has everything he needs to post blog posts. So what we'll do this week is we'll do a digest of this, and it can be a real simple one, Tyler. Like even if you just wanted to take a couple quotes from the story or something, you don't have to even write anything. And then we just put it on the blog as like we're reporting on this stuff for our publishers, and then we'll include it in the customer newsletter, and then that will go into a queue for the lead newsletter that we do every month, which we're going to try to make it more informational and just like an aggregator of news that's relevant to
just a word of caution. I would make sure you credit the author in the edition.
Yeah, definitely. Tune In. Yeah, I'm familiar with that app. Thanks, Vera. That's great. So Tune In picks up all those podcasts too. Yeah, so what other sites do for that? Let's just look at editor and publisher. A lot of these articles weren't written by them. So they put it right in the byline. And then you see they just have like this quick paragraph, 2 paragraphs, and then link to read more. And I think that's what you can get away with. It's like a teaser. All right, cool. So we covered everything. Sounds good. Appreciate your time and your feedback. We'll talk to you all later. Talk to you in the morning.